What is up, local artists? It is your personal local artist, Bo Thomas, here to give you the hot and fresh daily art clips. This one was delivered to me fresh by my art sister, who is amazing and talented, who is the bismuth queen. She puts bismuth on unusual things like abalone shells, skulls of animals that were given to her because she's kind of known for it now. Anyway, this clip is amazing. We'll get right into it. It's called 1 Million Beautiful Cells. And if you have done any type of acrylic pour, you know how beautiful the cells are. It's what we used to look for. When me and my art family would go out looking to do acrylic pours, they didn't sell it packaged in stores. I know I'm harping on this like some kind of old, hey, back in my day, they didn't sell it in stores. You couldn't get silicone mediums in stores like you do now. Now it's like a well-known thing. They didn't even have the term acrylic pour. We just knew that pouring paint was fluid and cool and just went with the whole vibe, and it's what we used to do. And now it's very common, and I mean, people were doing it back then too. I didn't like invent it. I'm just saying, like, they didn't have a term for what we were doing. People like were doing it, but now it's just like packaged at Michael's and it's so easy and accessible. The thing was cells. We were trying to get cells. I used, we read dish soap gave you cells, so we did a bunch of acrylic pours with dish soap in it. Not the type of cells you get with this type of stuff. This type of stuff's amazing. Let's dive right into it. What you need is silicone, right? I used olive oil. My dog ate my painting because I put olive oil in it and they could smell the nutrients. Dogs don't care. You know what dogs will eat. So he's like, a work of art? No problem. If I can get 500 olive oil calories out of it, ate my freaking work of art, and I don't even care because I just was worried because I read online, I googled it, and I read that it could mess up with their insides. And luckily I used like acrylic, somewhat safe. I don't think you're supposed to eat it paint, but like I wasn't really worried about that the same way as like oil paint. That would have been even worse. But I just mean, like, I was just worried about the canvas because they ate everything but the bars. They left the bars. It wasn't a big canvas, but still, it was like a lot of paint to eat, and it worried me out. Anyway, I have a million stories about acrylic pours. Please comment your acrylic pour story. We all have ones. Did you get it on someone? Did you get it on your favorite professor like I did? Is that a school exhibition? I'll get into it later. Anyway, this acrylic pour is really amazing. It's called 1 Million Beautiful Cells. And honestly, I'm gonna count them. So start out with a nice fluorescent pink. Oh, called it. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but nice. I usually like to do a base color. I'll do like white if it's not meant to be space, but if it otherwise it's black for space usually. Some cool pours. Always kind of looks like cosmic to me when I do acrylic pours with a black background. So this is instantly giving me like 90s vibes. The pink and blue, I see blue in the corner, so I'm assuming they're gonna. Oh, they have white and black too. So I wonder if they're gonna do that at the end. That's interesting. I would always kind of start out with that. Do you guys normally start out with a white? Oh, it's a light blue violet. Beautiful. Interesting technique too. I'd always do a spectacle. I would have the canvas turning, right? You can buy these little, it's like for modeling jewelry and stuff like that, but it turns. You plug it in and it'll spin the canvas and you can do your pour on it. And then I'd have a bucket swinging. In my art studio, I had a bucket swinging and I put a hole in it. So the bucket would be swinging, putting like these cool circle kind of things and go in different motions. So it'd be like these awesome kind of like circle, designs going, and the canvas is spinning and I'm pouring paint. One time the bucket fell and it was this big spectacle. So that's always what I'd go for when I do an acrylic pour. It's a very fun process. So let's really like amp it up, But this is cool too, and not that he's not. I'm sure this person is having a lot of fun. Mine was a very messy process, but that's what acrylic pour is. Like, already it's messy. Already they have it on. They have some sort of something on the table, some sort of tarp. Yeah, I'd always elevate it and put mini canvases below it because sometimes the pour like that goes off it. It's just as pretty or more pretty. Interesting. Okay, so this is the cell one. They put the cell in the black. See, I would have put it in all of them. I'm such an amateur when it comes to cells. This is why I didn't get the same results. Is I would have put the silicone in all three. But this person, I believe, put it just in the black. Comment below if you're supposed to put it in just one of the colors. Oh, and then this is how you get the million. This is how. What is that? Obviously it has holes in it. Oh, wow. So the black has the silicone. And then you drag it through. Oh, it's gorgeous. Wow, they're just starting to form. I wonder if he's going to torch it. That is truly gorgeous. Oh, it looks like it's missing a little bit at the end. I wonder if they're going to let it spill down a little bit to kind of collect at the bottom. Wow. This is beautiful. Yeah, it looks like it's filling it. You can see how it's kind of filling in at the bottom. Please don't let it pour all the way off, though. I always get sad. Please don't, please don't, please don't, please don't. Stop, 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 stop. No, you're ruining it. You're ruining it. Oh, man. And this is why art is so amazing, is because we all have our, before to me it looked like a comet. Now it looks more like underwater-ish. It lost the space element to me. Before it was very space related. It was like a beautiful comet coming from heaven. Now it's kind of gives me an underwater theme. Please comment below what you would name this. I mean, it's obviously gorgeous. There's no wrong answers when it comes to acrylic pours. To each their own, I sometimes like to keep a contrast. They have a good contrast at the other side though with the white. Pretty cool. It's always when to stop, right? I think like the best artists are really good at knowing when to stop. And this person maybe is the genius in knowing how far to go, And it's really knowing when to stop. That's the key for me. It was hard. For me, it was when it was like done, when I had to turn it in. So they went all the way to the end on the other side too. See, I would have kept the black side there and then done that maybe on that. But the trails look good too. When do you stop? Wow. Okay, so we're going to call cap, right? That was not a million cells. I don't even need to count. I can tell you that's not a million. Beautiful though. I think they stretched it too far. Beautiful job. I wonder if they leave it like that because they didn't elevate it, right? When I would leave it like this, the house paint was very thick. If I didn't elevate it, it would connect, which could be cool because sometimes I'd put paintings up where the pour was like on the wall with it. And that was amazing, but also not wanted sometimes, so you'd have to cut it. I also had this other piece where I took all the extra dried pieces of paint and started stapling to the wall on this mirror that had a hole in it. And so you look, and it's turned into like this piece over 2 years that became one of the most renowned pieces in my studio. Like, go check it out on my Instagram. It's really, I'll follow you back like I said. But honestly, it's on there, and it's all these extra pieces that were around the acrylic pour and dried. I would take and staple them to the wall, and it just created like almost like this sculptural element, and it looked almost like rugged. Like I heard someone say it looked tribal, like it was like, but beautiful, all these different colors, and it was just really unexpected. Changed from season to season because depending on the pours I did, it changed how it looked. But at the end of it, it went into the wall, and there's a little light in there because I love using light. So check that out on my Instagram. Let me know what you think. Do you use the extra pour for anything? If you guys do any acrylic pours, I would love to know what you use it for. I've used it for also. One time I made a tornado. I had all this extra pour that had like poured off because I do these giant canvases. I make my own canvases. It'd be like this 9-foot canvas they made out of like just branches I found around campus, and I'd just buy a big roll of canvas, right, for $100 because I can't afford to do a bunch of big canvases. My budget is $90. And so I'd stretch it and get $100 canvas, not eat or whatever, and then friggin' get this big roll and then make my own, bars for it and get big old knives so I can make these giant canvases. And I had all this leftover paint because I had a residency that I had, gotten, and they gave me a bunch of house paint. So I didn't have good paint like this but I had a bunch of it, bunch of house paint. So that leftover paint, one time turned into a whole volcano. I made this wire sculpture and took the leftover paint and made this, like, because that's how I was feeling at art school. I was like an art pouring volcano, you know? Not volcano. I made a volcano too. Art pouring tornado. I did make an art volcano in my studio. I took all the paintings and used that as the frame, and then paper machéed it and put a fog machine in there. I'm not joking. And had it shooting out fog in my studio. And they came in for a studio visit and they're just like, what the heck? Because there was a volcano in my studio made out of my art erupting fog. It was always performative. I always loved doing performance art. Even though it was a fine arts MFA program, I was always doing like theater. Anyway, I love art. I love that you guys are watching art with me and you can share it. Please comment down below what you like to do with your acrylic pours. It is such a wonderful activity that you can do with anyone. You can do it with your friends, like novice, amateurs can do acrylic pours no problem, and masters can do acrylic pours and show people how it's done. You know, I want to learn from them all. I love acrylic pours, and I would love to hear how you do it. So please comment down below, and I appreciate you watching these videos with me. See you next time. Peace.